Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Andrea. Hi, it's nice to have you all here. Today's just going to be a bit of a sit-down chatty video. We're going to take a slight pause break from the vlogs, but I wanted to film my annual year compass video. This is at least the third year that I've done this, but this has kind of become a thing and I like filming these. I really enjoy filling out my year compass, and it's nice to kind of do a video sharing just some bits and pieces from my year compass and having that record here on YouTube as well. So what is the year compass if you've never heard of it? It's a free booklet that you can download and fill out. It's a free workbook that walks you through the previous year, the past year that's just ended, and the coming year that's just beginning, and it asks you different questions reflecting on the previous year and thinking about the year ahead. It's a way of kind of setting intentions and goals without it feeling like it's a hard and fast or rigid resolution. I hate resolutions. I do not make resolutions. Resolutions aren't for me, but intentions, setting intentions feels gentler. It feels less pressure. I just kind of like that mindset a little bit better. So I've been doing this for quite a few years now. It was recommended to me by someone else and I really enjoy doing it. So it's just, I think, yearcompass.com. It's a free download, so this isn't sponsored or anything. It's free, it's easy. You can either print it out and fill it in by hand, or you can get a digitally fillable version and you can download them in different sizes. I've put it on half sheets so that it fits in my planner. I just then 6-hole punch it and it lives in the beginning of my planner each year. So diving right in to the year compass, when I look back through the past section, the things that are really popping up are how I really did slow down. Like it didn't always feel like it at the time, but my goal at the beginning of 2022 was to continue working towards slow living, because that had been a goal. That had been something that I started thinking about towards the end of 2021. And I definitely improved on that. And I did slow down and focus on slow living, prioritizing myself, putting myself first, not in a selfish way, but in a, you know, the oxygen masks on the plane have dropped down, and you always put your own mask on first before you turn and help your passengers next to you, right? If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to have nothing left to help anyone else. So slowing down and being more mindful, more in the present moment. I know I had times where I would still panic and freak out a little bit, but I can look back and see I was a lot better and more consistent at recognizing when I was doing that and steering my thoughts back to the present moment. Some of the big surprises or highlights, although getting diagnosed with ADHD or inattentive ADHD, I don't know if that's really a highlight, but it was interesting and it was a bit of a surprise. I always go into doctor situations expecting them to say, no, you're normal, it's all in your head. So to have her say, no, actually, inattentive ADHD sounds about right, or ADD is what she called it in the office, that was just, I feel like I'd built myself up just to get that appointment, and it had taken so much to get that appointment, and then to walk out and actually have that knowledge now about myself was really big. I wrote down that the biggest surprise of the year was hitting 3,000 subscribers here on YouTube. We are now, and I'll talk about this more when I get into the new current year section, but I feel like I'm now in uncharted territory. I was never even supposed to have 1,000 subscribers, let alone 3,000, and now we're over 3,000. Andrea back in 2016, if you go back to some of those really early videos, I know there's one where I know I made a bloopers video when I got, it was like maybe 100, or I think I was up to 150 by then. Like I made it intending it to be for 100, but then by the time it went up, I had over 100. I hit 100 so soon compared to when I thought I would. Only like a few months. I thought it was going to take me at least a year to get to 100. And then I thought, well, if I got to 100, 1,000 felt like the next goal. It then took a long time. Like I feel like I hit 100 faster than I expected, and then it took me literally years to get to 1,000. But then from 1,000 to 2,000 felt pretty quick, and then 2,000 to 3,000 felt like a blip. It has slowed down again because YouTube works like that. YouTube is one of the most unpredictable platforms for growth you could ever be on. But yeah, I wasn't supposed to get to 3,000. Like, I didn't think that was ever going to be a possibility. When I first started, I thought 1,000 was the end goal. If I could ever get to that, I would be happy. And I didn't really plan anything beyond that. And now hitting 3,000, it's like, well, I guess we just keep going. But I also really like where we're at. So I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But I really wasn't expecting it, even though the analytics earlier in the year were kind of making it clear that I was going to hit 3K at some point in 2022. It still blew my mind when we got there. And then the biggest thing I completed, I wrote down, was I published 2 books. I was also really excited about that. I had done 2 books in 2021, but one of those was co-written. But still, writing and publishing 2 books, and then I wrote more than that, because then I had another first draft that I finished in 2022, and other books that I started. I got more than halfway through a second book by the end of 2022. So the books feel like huge accomplishments and huge things that I did complete, knowing that I've got Inn of Hopes and Dreams up here and Brave Together right there. Knowing that I added 2 more books to my little collection back here, that was definitely huge. And Brave Together, when it came to what I was most proud of, publishing those 2 books, especially Brave Together, because there had been so many mindset issues around Brave Together. It got so delayed. It was supposed to be a 2021 release, and then it got pushed to 2022, and it didn't come out until April. Like January went by, February went by, March went by, and it still wasn't done. And then finally in April, I was able to publish it. I felt so proud of myself for finally getting that out. I look at that book now on the shelf and I'm just so glad and happy and relieved that it's out. What was I not able to accomplish? That's another question. Finishing the first draft of Across the Pond Book 4. That's okay. What is the best thing you've discovered about yourself in 2022? This was a big one for me, that I can slow down and still get stuff done. I definitely had a much slower, more mindful, more intentional approach to life in 2022. I still taught over 200 students. I still published 2 books. I still wrote 1 3/4 of 2 other books. So I still got a lot done, even with slowing down. So that was huge. Best moments of 2022, I think publishing my books, winning NaNoWriMo in November. I think I'm going to have a very different approach to Nano this coming November, but I still feel like it was amazing that I did it, that I won it. Now I can say I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I did great in Camp Nano for both April and July. I think Camp Nano is going to be a big thing for me this year as well, and probably set slightly higher goals for camp. So very proud of myself for that. So much hiking. I wrote this down with like a million O's. So much hiking and walking. And it was just, that was huge for me. It really, really, really was. I look back at 2022 and I just see so many gorgeous hikes in January and February, some amazing, beautiful walks in March and April and the beginning of May. There were even a couple just really amazing, very humid, but amazing walks in June and August where we had some storms come through and it dropped the temperature, and it was humid, but it was cool-ish. And like cool enough that I could go out for a walk. That was amazing. And then in October, like as soon as the temperatures dropped, I was back out walking around the neighborhood. And then as soon as they dropped even further, I was back out on the hiking trails. And I'm hiking almost every day and just loving it. And so looking back through my 1 second every day for 2022 and just seeing all of those walks and knowing that there were a lot of walks that didn't make it in there, because there was like October and November, every day could have been a walking clip. And so like I know in November in the November clips of the 1 second for 2022, I was alternating NaNoWriMo clips with walking and hiking clips because those were like the two big things for November for me. So all of the walking and hiking was great, were some of my best moments. And the time I gave myself to read, to write, to rest, to just watch TV. I wrote that it's been amazing to slow down and focus on myself more. And I also added in here that I feel like there weren't very many super memorable, outstanding moments, because that's one of the things that the question is asked. Describe the greatest, most memorable, joyful moments from the past year. And I said I feel like there weren't very many of those, but there were countless cozy, quiet, and magical moments throughout the year. And that really does kind of summarize how 2022 really was. When it came to the section about letting go, like, is there anything you need to let go of before you can start the new year? I felt like there's stuff that I'm still learning to let go of, but I still can't quite articulate it. There was something that kind of happened in the week between Christmas and New Year's where it felt like I was just getting really emotional. And part of that was like hormonally where my body was at in my cycle and stuff. But it also felt like in finally like truly not just slowing down, but stopping during that week. Not doing anything. Like sometimes I couldn't even read. I was just laying on the couch and watching TV and then going for a hike. And by fully stopping, it felt like something kind of cracked open for me. And I was just feeling really emotional. I was crying a lot, even though I didn't really know what I was crying about. It was just like there was a release that needed to happen. And so I feel like my body and my mind was letting go of something. I just don't really know how to articulate it. And I don't know if it has fully let go of that or if this coming year is going to be me letting go of that. Like, I don't know, but it was really interesting. So I wrote, I don't know what I'm letting go of, but maybe I'll figure it out in 2023. The past year, 2022, in 3 words, were cozy, magical, and progress. So cozy and magical were my kind of words of the year. Those were the 2 words that I picked at the start of 2022. And I definitely feel like I lived up to that. 2022 was definitely cozy and magical. I also had to add in progress as an end of the year word of the year because I look back at 2022 and I definitely made progress in a lot of different areas of my life. Looking back, it kind of is just so obvious. I didn't feel it necessarily at the time, but I definitely made a lot of progress. And then when it comes to, is there anything else left you want to write down? Anything to say goodbye to kind of 2022? I said that 2022 was full of surprises. Some things didn't work out as I'd hoped, but other things were better than expected. I'm slowly learning to let go of expectations and just let things be and take things as they come. And that's going to be letting go of expectations and just kind of accepting things as they come is going to be a big focus, I think, for me for 2023. So that's the 2022 portion. Now moving on to 2023. So there's lots of kind of goals that I've set. Some things that I just noticed one and I've already done it. So some of these I'll share, or at least share generally. Finish and/or publish Royal Romance 1, Across the Pond Book 4, and Independent Hearts 3. I definitely want to get the first drafts of all of those done, get them moving towards publication. Whether I get all 3 published in 2023, I don't know. I'm going to do a separate self-publishing plans video. We'll talk more about my publishing plans then, but we'll see. I want to keep growing the YouTube channel, but in a, I think, slower and more mindful way, and in a way that feels good to me, making content I want to make, not in a way that's going to grow it the fastest, if that makes sense, but growing it slowly and organically. So like if I only gain 200 subscribers between now and the end of the year, but they're really engaged and really enjoy this content, I will be happy with that. So it's not about growing it a lot. It's about growing it slowly and organically, attracting viewers and subscribers who genuinely enjoy the content that I'm making. And so I'm kind of tracking that, not based on the subscriber count, but based on the number of likes a video gets and the number of comments and the types of comments a video gets. I've definitely noticed as the channel has grown that I get way more comments now per video than I used to, and more people who are really authentically engaging with the video rather than clicking subscribe and then never watching anything. So for me, it's really, and this is my advice for other YouTubers, it should never be about your subscriber number or any of those types of analytics. It really should be about who is actually engaging with your video and who is actually getting to know you as a content creator. And that is the kind of audience that I am wanting to bring in and help grow this channel. So it's not about growing big, it's more about growing deep, if that makes sense. Really focusing on my coaching business, that's going to be a huge focus for this year. I'm still, fingers crossed, this has been on my year compass for like 2 years now. Still fingers crossed, hoping to buy a new car at some point this year, so we shall see. Continuing to build my savings. I built it up, I met my savings goal last year. I then bought a new laptop, that dipped it down a little bit. If I do buy a new car, that will dip it down a lot. So I'm just continuing to build it, and then we'll see what happens. I did finally manage, this was a goal for 2022, and I did it towards right at the very end of 2022. I did manage to finally pay off my credit card. It at one point had been above 10K, we'll say that. Over the last few years, it's been well under that, but it's been in that really pesky space of just high enough that I couldn't pay it off in one lump sum, but low enough that like it's just always kind of been there. But I finally got it paid off. And so my goal for this year is to keep that paid off. Whatever I spend on it, I'm tracking in the spending app on my phone as if it was coming out of my checking account, so that every month I can just pay it off. So that was huge. Another goal for this year that I'm hoping perhaps before my birthday as like a birthday present, I want to buy a couch. If I can't buy a car this year, I need to at least buy a couch. I need to get rid of this futon. It is not comfortable. I just want a new couch, so that's a big goal. Reading 100 books, that is my reading goal for the year. More magical walks and hikes for this year, and then in parentheses and with a question mark at the end, I wrote hike the full Gateway Loop, ? And I've done that. Stay tuned to the next vlog. That's all I'm gonna say. And then make summer indoors cozy and magical. That's another big thing. I really want this coming summer. Like I'm not looking forward to summer. And I am still even dreading it slightly, but I feel like I'm not dreading summer this year as much as I did this time last year, because I now know how nice last summer actually kind of ended up being. Like I still would have much preferred it to be colder and not a million degrees outside, but it wasn't too bad. And so I'm trying to keep that in my head. So we're gonna make summer indoors this year super cozy, super magical again. And then kind of going along with my words of the year, my 3 words of the year, I also have embrace imperfection, believe, and more slow and intentional living. So we'll come back to those in a moment. What this year will be about, just some kind of big things. Well, one that I don't talk about very much, dating again? ? And then I just wrote try. Just put myself out there a little bit. It's been years. My last relationship ended in 2019 very abruptly, very suddenly, very badly. It was not a pleasant experience. It took me most of that year to even consider dating again, and then I started to consider it, and then the pandemic hit. And then it was like, I'm not dating during a pandemic. Now I'm starting to think maybe. So I don't know. It's not that I haven't been talking about dating on this channel because I don't want to talk about it. It's I haven't been doing it, and I really don't know how I feel about it. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But that is something on my list of things to consider in the personal life category. Some other things I wrote down. When it comes to YouTube, I want to find joy in YouTube. I don't want to get caught up in analytics or revenue. I want to focus on all of you lovely people and on interaction in the comments on YouTube on these videos, or chatting with you on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, wherever we're chatting. I want to focus more on that engagement and interaction and getting to know you all more than paying attention to analytics and stuff like that, because I feel like with YouTube, you can get to a point where you're focusing so much on analytics and so much on subscriber counts and number of likes and number of views, all of these things. And because I'm monetized, once you're monetized, then like everything can become focused on monetization and revenue, and it takes away from the fun. It really does. YouTube is a hobby I'm very lucky that I do make a very tiny amount of money from. It is not money I can depend on. So I just want to stop. I feel like towards the end of 2022, I was focusing way too much on those sorts of things, and I want to go back to focusing just on the content I'm making and interacting with all of you all. That is definitely a goal. Sleeping as much as possible. Sleep and rest are the priority. Also walking and hiking, more yoga and indoor movement during the summer. Also, I think trying to make more time for the pool this summer, I think would help. More of a focus on slow living and being mindful and intentional. I just feel like that's a journey that I'm still on. I don't know that you ever arrive at like a destination with slow living. It's just a daily practice. So we're going to keep that up. 3 things that I will dare to discover. My answer to that was, what can happen when I don't doubt myself? Because self-doubt is definitely a big way that I self-sabotage. So what can happen when I don't doubt myself? How can I write, and kind of what am I capable of with my writing when I truly focus on the process and not the end product? And how nice can summer be if I lean into the cozy and magic of time indoors? So that's going to be interesting this year. So getting to my word for the year ahead, I picked 3. There's one kind of big one that I think is going to be the big word, but then there's 2 words that I think are going to be important on a daily basis. Thinking back to my word of the year for last year, which I picked 2, because I can never pick just one. So I picked last year cozy and magical. Throughout the year, I started to realize that those are not just words for a year, those are my words for life. So cozy and magical are still, that's just part of my core identity. So those are definitely going to still be a big part of things. We're still going to make things super cozy. We're still looking for all of those moments of magic and creating moments of magic in my daily life. Those just are, I'm realizing, words that ground my identity and my core foundation of who I am. So those aren't going anywhere. But my words for the year ahead, the first one is believe. And I think that one's going to be really important to me in terms of some of the big career changes that I'm working towards. Starting my coaching business, getting that going. Believe was a word that just kind of popped into my head as I was trying to figure out what my word of the year would be. One thing that kept coming up in my conversations with a friend who's been helping me get my coaching business going is she'd, say something that sounded really amazing about what I'd be able to accomplish. And my response was always, oh, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And that's definitely my mindset with a lot of things. I'll believe that I can accomplish something when I finally accomplish it. And she kept reminding me that you're not going to see it until you believe it. Because until you believe it, that doubt is always going to hold you back. And so this year, I'm trying to flip that mentality. Instead of I'll believe it when I see it, think about it as I'll see it when I believe it. And so I just have to believe first. Believe is a big word going forward. 2 of these smaller but still very important words are imperfect and slow. So slow just because we're really leaning into slow living this year. I've proven to myself that I can slow down and still get stuff done. So let's see if we can slow things down even more, because I was still holding myself back a lot by stressing about certain things. And it's what if I stopped stressing and just really leaned into slowing down? So slow is going to be really important throughout the whole year as kind of a very deep level undercurrent of everything. And then imperfect was something else that popped up, and it could have been my top word, but I still think believe is the most important word for the year. I think imperfect might get moved up to the top spot next year. As I'm slowing down, I'm still struggling with perfectionism. And so I really want to try to lean into imperfection and not trying to be perfect, and doing this with everything. embracing imperfection with my teaching, with my writing, with YouTube. You know, if the videos aren't flawlessly edited, if an Instagram picture just isn't the most artistic, but, you know, just focusing on showing up in my life, even if it's showing up imperfectly, really embracing that imperfection. So that's a huge thing. The last thing that I wrote down is just, I am entering this year slowly and intentionally. I believe in all possibilities, but I acknowledge that the pace I achieve things may vary. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't still happen in the future. I will take 2023 one day at a time. I will find joy in the little things and will keep my perspective when things don't go as planned. I will be kind to myself and put myself first, recognizing that I can't help anyone if I'm drowning myself. So yeah, that's my year compass. That's kind of where we're at for heading into 2023. I feel like in the past I would have said that I feel cautiously optimistic about the coming year, and I'm dropping the cautiously. I'm not cautious about it. I am optimistic. I know things won't go as planned. I know things will change. I know there will be surprises along the way, but I look back at 2022 and I see that despite the struggles, despite the challenges, there were also so many moments of joy and magic and coziness and wonder, and I know 2023 is going to have more of that. I'm still reading the book Wintering, and so I'll talk about this more when I finish that book, but I know I'm still in a winter season overall, and I think I'm deeper into that winter season than I previously thought, but I know the winter will end eventually. And so whether it ends in 2023 or in 2024 or 2025, like whenever, I know that in the meantime, I'm really kind of burrowing down, if you will, into this winter season that I'm in my life. I'm just embracing the coziness and the magic, and I'm believing in the possibilities, and I'm working towards those possibilities even if I'm not yet achieving all of them. And so even if I don't accomplish even a fraction of my goals for 2023 by the end of this year, it's the progress that I'm focusing on. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I would like to know, as our question of this video, what is your word or words of the year? So mine are believe, imperfect, and slow. So I'd like to know, what is your word or words of the year if you've picked one. If you haven't, you can just let me know what is one intention or goal that you are working on this year. So let's chat words of the year and goals and intentions and things like that in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. All of that great stuff. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next vlog. It will be a vlog coming next. So I will see you all then, and thank you very much for watching this one. Bye!